The purpose of this climb was to practice passing a knot, both going upward and downward on a rope. And here's the innocent looking little knot as I come up on the rope. It's just a figure 8 bend, and I've got some fairly long tails. I'm on PMI 10mm rope. I'm on a frog system, but I'm manually advancing the harness ascender because I don't like the shoulder strap, and I'm just doing some practice stuff here. What I'm doing at this point is moving my upper ascender so I can pass the knot, and that last motion you saw was tightening a Blake's hitch lanyard I use, and it saves having to have a quick attach safety. So I'm now transferring my saddle ascender above the knot, and now when I loosen the Blake's lanyard, I'm ready to move on up the rope. Well, everything's fine here. As you see, I'm still advancing and everything's going great, but I decided not to go too far, since the purpose of this was to pass the knot going up and down. I'd just go right back down and go past it again. What I'm doing is locating my harness ascender as close to the knot as I can, so I have less space to have to maneuver around to get it around the knot. So the idea is you hang or suspend from your upper ascender so that you can take the lower ascender loose, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm adjusting that upper ascender so that I can get my weight off the saddle ascender, and I just did that. So I'm taking the saddle ascender loose, and here comes the problem. You can't really see this, but what's going on is I just attached that to the tail of that rope instead of the rope. So what I now have is my upper ascender on the main climbing rope and my lower one on the tail instead of the climbing rope. So now I'm moving it down even more on the tail and still haven't noticed the error. And I now have clipped in my upper ascender on that same tail. Now, there's not any danger of the tail failing. It's a figure 8. It really doesn't matter which one of those you're on. The problem is when I started to descend one more time, my harness ascender, and that's what I'm working on right now, came completely off the tail. As I looked at the video frame by frame, I began to realize just how close that saddle ascender was to the end of that tail. Now, had that ascender been close enough to have slipped free when I took the upper ascender loose, I would have fallen, and there would have been nothing I could have done about it. There was no more backups. I would have just removed that upper ascender, which was my secondary attachment, and I would have just fallen to the ground. I didn't realize at the time until I reviewed the video carefully just how close I came to a really nasty fall. I wasn't up real high, but I was up high enough to get hurt badly had I fallen. I'm not gonna even attempt to blame a knot for this, but it is worth considering that had I been using a Zeppelin bend that has tails coming out 90 degrees to the main lines instead of an F8 that has tails lying exactly next to and parallel with the main lines, that may not have happened.